Okay guys, so welcome ulit sa ating YouTube channel. Ito na yung lesson 24 sa ating Advanced Calculus 1. Ito na yung differentiability. So mag-start na tayo sa differentiability. So mag-start tayo sa basic, tapos next is caratedori lemma. Then saka tayo mag-property. Okay, so definition. So let D be a subset of real number and C element of D. Then such that C minus R, C plus R. So yung open interval na C minus R, C plus R is subset of D. For some R greater than 0. So we call C an interior point of D. So paano siya magiging interior point? Magiging interior point siya. So let's say ito yung domain natin. So magiging interior point si C. So kunyari dito si C. So kunyari meron C minus R dyan. Then dito si C plus R. So andito somewhere yung kanyang point. So interior point ako nung D. Ganun masabi. So, domain somewhere yan. So, meron parang neighborhood. Yan yung ibig sabihin dito. Okay, so, magiging, again, importante dito si interior point. Okay, so, yun ang ibig sabihin nun. So, again, ito yung domain. So, let's say, may domain pa talaga dyan. So, let's say, sako pa siya ng domain. Ganun yung ibig sabihin. Baga, napakalit lang yun na interval. Okay, so, definition. Ito na yung definition derivative. So, paano nga ba magiging differentiable yung isang function? So, let f be a function mapping from a domain going to a real number. So, we say that f is differentiable at C if the limit of f of C plus h minus f of C over h as h approaches 0 exists. So, as long as may lumabas na value dyan, therefore, siya ay continuous at C. So, we write f prime of C is equal to this. Okay, so ganun na mangyari. So, f is differentiable at C kung yung limit nito is nag-exist. Okay, so other notation, by the way, other notation kasi ganito, no? So, derivative of f with respect sa x. Okay, so for x is equal to C. Ayan yung mga other notation. Another is derivative of y with respect sa x at x is equal to C. Okay, may other notation. Ito pa. Derivative of f of C. Tapos may tuldok dito. So, ito ginagamit ito ng mga physicists. Okay, so usually sa physics, pag nakita mo to, that is f, parang nakalimutan ko tawag eh. May tawag dyan somewhere, yung point sa taas. So, hindi ko pwedeng banggitin. Basta that is differentiable pa rin. So, meaning differentiable siya at C. Ayun yung mga other notation. Other notation pa ito. Yung alam natin, f prime of x. So, aware na kayo dyan. So again, iba dito yung partial derivative. Ito ay differentiability pa lang. So wala pa dito yung partial derivative na naiisip mo. Okay, so next is, ano ba itsura ng graph ng pagiging differentiable? So ang itsura nito pag ginraph natin, paano ba natin masasabing differentiable? So I think nasulat na drawing na to nung calculus 1 nyo. So sa calculus pa naman sinasabi na ano itsura ng drawing or ano itsura ng geometric interpretation niya. So, let's say na gawa ko ng dalawang point, no? So, let's say nandito si C. Okay. Then, nandito si C plus H. Okay. So, somewhere nandito si F of C. Okay. Then, somewhere nandito si F of C plus H. Okay. So, gawa ko ng function somewhere. So, let's say ganyan itsura. Okay. So, ngayon, ang mangyari dyan is just, eto, somewhere dito, kunyari tuduktong siya dyan. So, yun na nga, hindi tumama. So, ito na lang, patamain ko na lang dito. So, let's say yung red yung function talaga. Tapos yung green yung derivative. Okay, so, let's say ito, tumama siya dyan. So, let's say ito rin tumama siya dyan. Okay, so ang mangyari, pag nag-derivative ka, kung napapansin ko, kunyari x squared, nagiging x, nagiging linear. Pero ang quadratic, nagiging linear, umi-straight. Kunyari x cube, yung graph niya nagiging quadratic. Ganun yung nangyari. So, dito, from ganun siya, bumaba siya. Okay, so, andito sa part na to, ito yung ating itsura niya pag nagkakaroon derivative. So, hindi ko na isusulat yung tangent line saka second line. Ang nire-represent ko na lang is just, kunyari yung red yung original function. Nung dinifferentiate ko na siya, ayun na siya. Yung bumaba na siya. Okay, so, kumbaga bumaba na siya, kumbaga nag-straight. Kunyari, kung ano man function, kunyari x raised to n, naging x raised to n minus 1 na siya. Okay, ganun yung nangyari dito sa differentiability. Okay, so ganyan yung itsura. Iba pa yung itsura talaga literal pag may mga values na. Kumbaga, meron ng secant line, tangent line. So, hindi ko na ito-drawing yung kasi nga interpretation lang naman yung aking pinapakita. So, paano ba nangyayari pag nagde-differentiate tayo? Okay, so now let us apply. So, by the way, ang tawag dito is the definition of derivative. So, whenever I say show the following function is differentiable using definition of derivative, therefore gagamitin mo yun. Okay, so iba pa yung Caratidori lemma. Iba pa yung may iba pang way para ma-prove yan. Okay, pero ito nga, gamitin natin definition of derivative dito sa video na to. Okay, so let's start. So, number 1, show that f of x is equal to c for all c element of real number is differentiable at x is equal to c. So, napansin mo, ito yung tinatawag natin na constant function. So, ano ba itsura ng constant function pag dinrap? So, suppose ito yung function na yan. Ang itsura ng constant function is that ito, kunyari ito yung c. Ang itsura ng constant function is just a horizontal line. So, na nagkukross sa y-axis. So, ito yung f of x. Ito yung f of x is equal to c natin. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng horizontal ng constant function. Ang graph ng constant function is always horizontal. So, whenever nasa baba siya ng y-axis or nasa baba siya ng x-axis or nasa above x-axis siya. Basta, nag-cross lang siya sa sa tawag dito sa y-axis. Okay, so at the same time once lang siya nag-cross doon. Okay, so paano natin i-prove yan using definition of derivative? So ito yung proof. Pasensya na, medyo sinisipon sa sir. So ito yung proof, no? So since at c, so we have f prime of c is equal to limit as h approaches 0, kasi yun yung sabi ng f of c plus h minus f of c all over h. Note na ano yung f of c plus h? Pag sinubstitute ko, diba yung f of x is equal to c? Pag sinubstitute ko yung f of c plus h, ano sagot doon? C pa rin. Kasi wala ka napapalitan na value na x doon. Okay, so this is just equal lang sa limit as h approaches 0 ng c minus c pa rin all over h, which is equal sa limit as h approaches 0 ng 0 over h, which is equal sa limit as h approaches 0 of 0, which is equal sa 0. So, may lumabas na value, hindi undefined. So, since do not exist lumabas, or hindi undefined yung lumabas, therefore, f is differentiable at x is equal to c. Okay, and that is done. Okay, so again, hindi siya not continuous or ano. So, sir, paano ko infinity? Malabo dito lumabas infinity. I think parang imposible pa yun. So, check na lang natin kung may counter natin sometime. Okay, so next is, what if ganito naman? Sabi is, show that f of x is equal to x for x element of real number is differentiable at x is equal to c. So, ito naman yung tinatawag na constant function. So, ano ba itsura ng constant function natin? Ang itsura ng constant function natin, ito yung nagpapas sa ating x-axis. Kumbaga, yung graph lang niya is just ganito. Kumbaga, yung rise over niya is 1 over 1. Yung slope niya is 1. So, yun yung itsura nung tawag dyan is identity function rather. So, ito yung identity function. Ito constant function. Okay, so sabi, show that the identity function is differentiable. Which is obvious naman talaga. Differentiable siya. So, ito yung proof. So, proof natin. So, f prime of c is equal to limit as h approaches 0 ng f of c plus h minus f of c all over h. That is equal sa limit as h approaches 0. So, ito pwede ka na solve, no? So, pag pinat ko c plus h f of x, that is c plus h lang. So, that is c plus h minus c to all over h. So, bakit ganun nangyari? Palit ko yung c doon sa f of x. F of c is c. F of c plus h is c plus h. Kasi nga identity function siya. Okay, so therefore, this is just equal to, napansin mo, c minus c is 0. Tama, then h over h is 1, then limit of 1 is 1, so therefore this is just equal to 1. So this is for all c element of real number. We say that f is differentiable at x is equal to c. So therefore this is done. So again, hindi siya do not exist ulit. Okay, so ganun kasimple mag-prove using the definition of derivative. Okay, so for number 3, show that f of x equal to absolute value of x for all x element of real number is differentiable at x is equal to c. So dito medyo may tricky siyang part. So start tayo dito, no. So ito yung proof. So i-green ko muna. So we have f prime of c. So ang gagawin ko is i-start tayo dito, no. Start ko sa f prime of c, no. So f prime of c is equal to limit as h approaches 0 ng f of c plus h minus f of c over h. Okay, so for case 1, if c, unahin natin, if c is equal to 0, ano mangyayari? So that is equal sa limit as h approaches 0 ng f of 0 plus h minus f of 0 over h. So ano mangyayari dyan? That is equivalent lang sa, since absolute value, this is just absolute value of h. Tama? So this is absolute value ng 0 plus h minus absolute value ng 0 over h. Tapos huwag kalimutan ilagay si limit as h approaches 0. Okay, in which this is equal sa limit as h approaches 0 ng absolute value of h over h. So note na ito ay do not exist. Okay, so sir, bakit do not exist? Kasi as h approaches 0, hindi natin pwede i-divide kasi yan right away. Okay, so kung napapansin mo, hindi ko yan literal pwede i-divide by h over h. So absolute value of h cannot be divided by h just only kasi dalawa yung meaning ng h eh. So si h is either positive or negative or pwedeng 0. Eh paano kung 0? Do not exist pa rin yun kasi h din nasa ilalim. So ibig sabihin hindi siya differentiable pag 0. Okay, so magkakaroon dito ng parang restriction. So ngayon, if naman tayo, if c is greater than 0, so ano mangyayari doon? So we have f prime of c is equal to limit as h approaches 0 ng f of c plus h minus f of c all over h. So ngayon, kung c is greater than 0, ano yung ibig sabihin nun? Yung absolute value, ito ang mangyari, no? Yung limit as h approaches 0 ng absolute value ng c plus h minus absolute value ng c over h. So ano mangyari dyan? Pag greater than 0, ibig sabihin madadrop lang yung absolute value kasi magiging positive lang yan. So which means this is only equal sa limit as h approaches 0 ng c plus h minus c over h, which is equal sa 1. Kasi c minus c is 0, so h over h is 1. So therefore, differentiable siya pag c is greater than 0. Eh what if naman less than 0? Okay, so what if? So if c is less than 0, then ang mangyari, yung f prime of c natin is equal sa limit as h approaches 0. So proceed na ako dito, absolute value ng c plus h minus absolute value of c over h. Ano mangyari dyan? Since negative siya, this is limit as h approaches 0 ng negative of c plus h minus negative of c. Okay, so minus negative of c all over h kasi less than 0. So yung negative yung kukunin natin by definition of absolute value. So anong sagot dyan? So mapapansin mo that is only equal sa negative 1. Okay, so therefore saan siya differentiable? Therefore f is differentiable at x not equal to 0. Okay, therefore that is done. So nagkaroon na ng konting restriction. Hindi siya differentiable pag 0, pero pag greater than 0 or less than 0, differentiable na siya yung ating absolute value. So tandaan yung value, yung function na yan. Okay, then next is apply natin counting number. Okay, so let f of x equal to x squared minus 3x. Let's see element ng real number. So, i-prove natin na siya ay differentiable gamit yan. Okay, so paano yan? I think, syempre, f prime of c, no? So hindi naman kailangan i-prove. So, wala naman show. So, we have f prime of c is equal to limit as h approaches 0 ng f of c plus h minus f of c over h. Okay, then that is equal sa limit as h approaches 0. Yung c plus h, substitute natin doon. So, magiging c plus h. So, una, x squared, no? c plus h square minus 3 times c plus h. Ayun yung una. Minus, ito naman yung c squared minus 3c. Kasi f of c na. Okay, then all over h. Okay, then mag-simplify tayo further dyan. Pag nag-simplify tayo dito, I think c plus h squared, that is c squared h, no? Simplify natin muna. So this limit as h approaches 0 ng c squared plus 2ch plus h squared minus 3c minus 3h minus c squared plus 3c. Okay, all over h. So kung mapapansin mo, may cancel tayo dyan. Sino? Si c squared. Sino pa? Si negative 3c. Saka si 3. At wala nang iba. So natira na lang is just the limit as h approaches 0 ng h squared plus 2ch minus 3h over h. Okay, so cancel yung isang h dyan. So ang mangyari na lang, this is just equal sa limit as h approaches 0 ng h plus 2c minus 3. Okay, then apply natin yung limit na h is equal to 0. So this is equal sa 0 plus 2c minus 3, which is equal sa 2c minus 3. Okay, so tama naman. Bakit? Ano ba derivative nito? Ang derivative nito is, so note na yung f prime of x is just 2x minus 3. So f prime of c is just equal sa 2c minus 3. So tama naman. Nakuha natin using yung definition of derivative. Okay, so ganyan naman yung gagawin natin pag number na yung nag-exist. Okay, then lastly, para sa video na to, medyo bigyan natin konting twist. So sabi, prove that the derivative of sine x with respect sa x is equal to cosine x. So ito medyo tricky. Ito medyo mapapaisip tayo. Paano ba yung gagawin natin dito? So ito medyo may gagamitin tayong nagamit na natin last time. Hoping na maalala nyo pa. Okay, so hanapin ko lang din. Baka maligaw si sir sa pag-prove. Okay, so start. So we need to prove na yung derivative niya, no? So ang gagawin natin is just kunin natin yung f prime of x na lang. I think f prime of x na lang pwede na. Kasi with respect sa x tayo. So ito yung proof. So we need to show that f prime of x. So this is limit as h approaches 0 ng f of x plus h minus f of x over h. Note ano yung function? Ang function natin f of x is equal to sine x. Ang goal natin dapat maging cosine x. Okay, so meaning pag sinabsit natin f of x plus h, this is just equal sa limit as h approaches 0 ng sine x plus h minus sine x all over h. Okay, next is using yung identity ng x, using yung identity ng sine x plus h, yung sum ng identities ng sine. So identity for sum. So ano ba yung sine? That is sin cos cosine. So since sine is positive yan, no? Sin cos cosine. Okay, so that is equal sa limit as h approaches 0, sin cos cosine, no? That is sine x cosine h. Okay, lagyan ko plus cosine x sine h. So parang di nakakalito. Minus sine x all over h. Okay, so ang gagawin ni sir is paghihiwalayin ko yan, i-regroup ko. So ang gagawin ko, pagsasamahin ko yung I think yung cosine x saka sin x over h, kasi ito pagsasamahin ko doon sa kabila. So again, ulitin ko lang ha. Paghihiwalayin ko yan, kumbaga i-defractionalize ko siya, kumbaga paghahatiin ko siya. This is equal sa una, ito matitira pa. So sin x cosine of h, okay, is minus sin x. So kinuha ko isa, all over h. Okay, next is this is plus cosine x sine of h over h. Okay, then by that papactor out ko yung sin x, tapos paghihiwalayin ko yung limit. Kunin ko yung limit na ito, kunin ko yung limit sa kabila. Okay, so ang gagawin ko dito, this is limit as h approaches 0 ng ano bang value yun? Ito ay magiging, una papactor ko yung sin x, no? So may factor akong sin x multiplied by cosine of h minus 1. Okay, then all over h. Yan yung una para dito. Pinactor out ko kasi sin x. Then sa kabila, this is plus limit as h approaches 0 ng cosine x sin h over h. So since ang limit natin na naapektuhan ng is variable h, meaning itong part na to hindi maapektuhan. Yung sin x constant lang siya dyan, lalabas siya dyan. Si cosine x constant lang siya dyan. So meaning lalabas dito si sin x. So this is sin x, tapos kunin yung limit as h approaches 0 ng cosine h minus 1 over h, plus labas si cosine x. Okay, then this is limit ng sin h over h as h approaches 0. So by theorem, kung naalala nyo, yung theorem sa trigonometric function dati, yung limit ng trigonometric function, this approaches to 0. Okay, this is equal to 0, this is equal to 1. So therefore, this is equal to sin x multiplied by 0 plus cosine x multiplied by 1. Therefore, this is equal to cosine x. So, therefore, the derivative is 2. Therefore, the derivative of sin x is equal to cosine x. So, again, alalahanin nyo, nasa theorem to dati ng trigonometric function natin. So, itong part na yan. Saka ito. Okay, so that's all for this video. So, hoping na na-enjoy mo siya. So, hoping na panoorin pa yung next video, kasi next video is another way na naman ng pagkuha ng derivative natin.